What's going on, Midlothian? We're back with another episode of the Cement City Chatter podcast. Rob LaFleur sitting here, as always, to my right, live from the Opoka Palace, Mr. John Opoka. What's going on, buddy?
What's happening?
To my left, live and direct, Mr. Lonnie Harper. What's going on, buddy?
Hello, Midlothian.
So,
hang on.
Okay.
Hang on. We have a special announcement. Yes, everybody. That light means we do have a special guest in the house. Finally, after 2 seasons, well, after 1 season, it started 2 seasons, we finally got Hud Hartson in the house.
Mr. Hud Hartson.
Mr. Hud Hartson, Mr. Excitement.
Finally.
Welcome, sir.
The hardest working city councilman in Midlothian, or if not the hardest working city councilman, the hardest campaigning.
The heart of Midlothian, Mr. Hartson.
Something like that, right?
What's happening, buddy?
Not much.
Hud, you literally,
Dude, we have been hounding him since day one to get him on the show.
and you think that he would come on, but it's like pulling teeth to get this guy.
Well, it's kind of like he had to vet us first. You know, he's been trying to see what kind of shit and shenanigans we're going to come up with.
But that,
before
and
he
he's
decides.
also been campaigning. I mean, he had to run for his spot 7 times in the last 6 days.
I kind of wanted to see, the questions y'all asked everyone else, and kind of gauge how y'all are doing this.
Oh, believe me, the shit show hasn't started until now.
Okay.
Man, we don't ask questions.
We're
We
going to
just
drag you under the bus and just keep on going.
All right. I'm
quit
ready.
banging on my
ready.
table.
Yeah, quit hitting my table. So what's going on, Hud? How you been?
Been good. Just busy with life and busy working.
Yeah?
Yeah.
You want to come raise some puppies?
No more dogs.
I'll switch you.
No.
I'd love to sit on the beat.
No. No.
So-
I'm not puppy sitting.
So let's back up a little bit, because obviously there's a lot of people out there. They know who you are. You've been here in Midlothian for a long time, but for those that don't know who Hud Hartson is, just why don't you give us a little bit of background?
Well, 47, from Midlothian. Went to high school with yours truly, John Opoka. Married, 3 kids. I'm a police officer, and I'm a sitting city councilman, place 6.
Yeah.
And yes, it did feel like I ran 5 times in 3 months.
What's your favorite breakfast food?
Traditional eggs and bacon.
Donuts.
Yeah, bacon on something. Yeah.
What kind of
Okay, that's the first one.
how do you like your bacon? Are you see those on Facebook, right? How do you like your bacon?
It cannot
Number
be
1 through
oinking.
6.
Yeah, it can be oinking.
So you like a number 4?
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Do you like maple bacon donuts? You ever had one?
Yeah.
Oh, they're good.
So you're actually
It's 2 cop jokes. Okay.
you're a Dallas police officer, specifically in what part of Dallas?
Oak Cliff. I work Southwest Dallas. It's considered Southwest Division.
So compared to Midlothian, where you grew up and you live, I mean, it's pretty much the same, right?
Yeah, it's pretty polar opposite. Oak Cliff is growing and exploding with new growth, but man, Oak Cliff, it has yet to shake the bad reputation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they've gone through a pretty big makeover. The Bishop parts and that whole area is really
It's a great
really
area.
on the move.
It's a great area. They have, great restaurants. It's full of life and taxpayers and new businesses. But then there's the rest of Oak Cliff.
Do you patrol that area?
Yeah.
The Bishop's Arch considered your territory?
Yeah.
The local townspeople know you. You come through bumping.
Some of them, the bar owners tend to notice which cops drive by or which cops stop and top to report where. They notice more than you think.
Yeah. So what led you to get into law enforcement in the first place? I mean,
My grandfather was a Dallas police officer. I'm 4th generation Dallas police officers. Been 6 or 7 people in my family that were Dallas police officers. So I just kind of knew when I was little, I wanted to be, well, God, I'm drawing blank now. Not John Wayne, Gunsmoke.
Gunsmoke, the rifleman.
Yeah, the shows like that, they always fascinated me. So it's kind of a natural transition for me.
Right. And then so you, but before you were a police officer, I mean, let's back up a little bit. You were overseas. I remember hearing at some point before I met you, I guess when I was reading about the candidates at one of your many campaigns here in the last year and a half maybe.
Yeah.
That you
Yeah.
but seriously, you were overseas doing was that private security work, so you've always been in some sort of military law enforcement of some sort, or
Yeah, well, I was a Dallas officer for 6 years before I went overseas. Worked for the government over there for about 8.5 years. Spent time Afghanistan, Northern Africa, Iraq.
Oh, so that explains the absent voter record then, right?
A little bit of it sure does, yeah. when you're working 12 hours a day and 120 degrees, yeah,
It's easy for people to throw stones and never
7
actually
days a week.
served.
Yeah, it sure is. Yeah.
I get it.
so here we are now, Dallas police officer and sitting on the Midlothian City Council. How's that gone? And was it everything that you expected? Is the job harder?
It's been about what I expected. I had a good mentor, or I have a good mentor in Maurice Osborne. He kind of prepared me for what the role was going to be. And, going to all the city council meetings the year before I actually declared and ran helped a lot too. You kind of see the nuances and the way the council members kind of look at each other sometimes.
Did he prepare you for that 1 o'clock in the morning phone call? Why I don't have cell service south of 663?
No, because when I'm asleep, my phone's on mute. So,
Yeah, we all know.
Sometimes it takes us days to get hold.
I've literally texted this man before, asked him a question, got a response 2.5 days later, and forgot what I had asked him.
Well, part of it, but in my defense, hang on. In my defense, when I work 8 p.m. to 4 a.m.
Yeah.
So, I come home, I'm a day sleeper. By the time I get up, eat dinner, take a shower, get ready, go to work, I'm like, oh yeah, I got to call Rob back. It's 11, 12, maybe 1 o'clock. I'm like, yeah, now it's
Not a good idea.
It kind of sets in on you. Yeah, you're not like the other people.
I've got a couple of those calls, 10:30, 11 o'clock. Hey, man, what you doing?
I'll just, it's
You know what? I get it. I get it because I'm a day sleeper right now, as well. So usually when I call Hud, it's 2 o'clock in the morning. He's sitting there watching some hooker getting beat up on the street by some transient.
Now, don't get me wrong. There's been times that, I've happened to have been up or couldn't sleep, and I'm like,
I gotta call you back.
now's the perfect time to call Hud. He's,
Oh yeah.
yeah. And that's when I've got most of my conversating done. But
Vampire hours. Yeah.
Yeah, I can tell when he's real busy. He says, "Dude, I gotta call you back. This isn't good."
yeah,
Yeah. There's a few times like, yeah, I got to go.
well, I can read. I'm not going
I
to.
gotta
But I
actually
can
do
read
my
some.
job.
You'll never believe what I just found, and she was completely naked, and on a lot of drugs.
Yeah, we never got.
We
that.
took her to the shrink or to the psych ward.
Oak Cliff never disappoints.
Well, anytime you get in a big urban community, you're gonna have that. I don't care what part of town you're in. There's gonna be something happening.
Yeah.
Is it every night? Is it every night, or is it just a couple times a week?
No, it's every night. Just when you think you've seen it all, you see something else. Just when you pull up to the QT, a guy has a full-blown Western saddle bolted down to the hood of his truck. You think you've seen it all, and then you see something else, and it makes you forget all about that one.
We need to go on a ride along.
It's
Yeah.
You know how fun that would be?
it's the greatest
It
show
would.
on earth.
I'd love to do a ride along.
All three of us.
No, no.
One
The Saturday night trip to
No.
Parkland would be enough. Right
So do
there.
you? Okay, first of all, what are you driving? Are you in a Charger? Are you in a Suburban? What do we got here to work with as far as wheels?
No, we only have a certain amount of SUVs, Tahoes, but yeah, we're in Chargers.
Yeah.
So you got enough room for 3 of us, right?
I want
Boy, wouldn't that be a fun night?
One at a time.
front seat. I'm not getting in the back of a cop car every
Yeah,
time.
no,
Can
No.
we stand on the corner? You can
Dirtiest
just
place on
rotate it
earth.
through.
no. You don't want to stand on the corners there.
Are they like plastic back seats to where you just hose them out at the end of the night, or?
Most of them are plastic Well, if they have a cage, it's a plastic back seat. If not, it's just a normal.
So what do you do when you pick up an intoxicated guy and he just barfs all over the back seat? I mean, how does that change your night?
We make sure he throws up before he gets in the car.
But you know what happens when they get in the
Yeah,
car.
emotion.
No.
I mean, emotion is what causes,
Well, if you get to the trunk tank fast enough,
Do you ever put those screens over their head like they do in Las Vegas?
the spit masks.
Yeah, spit mask.
No, it's kind of rare that they do that. It happens, But
Is it true that if someone spits on you, that's literally aggravated assault on a peace officer?
it's definitely an offense. They spit on you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a serious charge.
I've only had it happen one time, and the girl was already in Parkland's psych ward. So I figured she had it bad enough. Another
Let her make it.
Yeah, charge. She was already strapped down in the padded room, literally. So I'm
Were
like,
you
yeah.
working downtown when all the riots were happening?
No, unfortunately, I wasn't. I was in Djibouti, Africa, on the east coast, the Horn of Africa, and
On vacation?
working for the government.
No. I'm talking about the riots just recently.
Oh, I thought you meant like 2016.
No, that's a different story.
Yeah. I mean,
Did you see anybody deliver the bricks? Because didn't you find that odd that there was bricks on every corner?
isn't that odd?
It is.
But did you see that? Did you personally
Sure.
see? You did. You saw.
Yeah, you see a pallet of bricks, and there's no construction within blocks of where those bricks are, and they're not like in a parking lot up against a building. They're right there in the roadway.
They're residential bricks too.
I don't know the difference, but I just know they were real bricks.
Well, you can tell the difference between a brick on a building and a brick on a house.
I mean, so did you guys sit for a minute and drive past that and
man, where
I
do
need
those
to make a
bricks
phone
come
call?
from?
Why? I mean, there's just bricks in the median.
The only thing I was thinking is, you think we have a forklift? Someone can come get these suckers before they're going to be launched at us?
I imagine the list of stories you have are endless of everything that's happened downtown and around the surrounding areas.
Yeah.
So, I mean, in your opinion, where would you rather be a cop? Would you rather be a Midlothian police officer or a Dallas one?
It's interesting you say that. Being from here, you would think I wanted to be a cop here. And, it crossed my mind, but being multi-generational Dallas officer, it was really a no-brainer. I didn't even apply anywhere else. I applied to Dallas and, put all my eggs in that one basket.
Of course, I'm sure you're probably friends with a handful of Midlothian officers. I
lot
know
of them, yeah.
several that you are friends with, or we
Yeah.
have mutual friends with.
I mean, wouldn't it just be fun arresting the star of the football team back when our day, putting him in the drunk tank downtown Midlothian? I mean, that would just be so awesome.
John, back in your day, they didn't arrest the quarterback. They gave him free beer at the local convenience store if he won.
Back in my day when they pulled us over, they didn't arrest us. They just took our beer, told us to go home, and then we'd follow them, and then they'd end up going out to Tower Road and drinking it. It's not that way. Our kids don't understand
Actually, back in our day, there was a parking lot right next to the police station.
it was called the Blacktop.
And for whatever reason,
It's where
people would hang out there and drink and do stuff they should not do next to the police station.
Yeah, it's where the log cabin is now.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the Blacktop. It was a big parking lot, and that's
never-
where we all partied.
Quite understood why. Yeah, that.
Yeah,
Well, it's easier to get away with things right next to, the guy that are watching you than it is to
Maybe so. I don't know.
go out.
I don't know, but you're right. Times have changed. I mean,
Yes.
our chief of police, of course, was from DeSoto, where I'm from, and Carl Smith, great guy. And I mean, I remember early on. Of course, I was young, and it was a nuisance more than a crime. But I mean, calling my mother, I mean, that's what we didn't want him to do,
Right.
But it happened. My mother got a call or two. Back back from Chief Smith.
So how fast do I gotta be going for you just to flash the lights at me and turn them off and not chase me in Dallas?
What am I doing?
If I'm speeding,
He said, "What am I?" He said, "What is he doing?"
if I'm speeding,
I'm just parked or.
yep, you're just parked.
Is he on a donut break and a bacon break or what? Or is he sitting there actually running radar? There's a difference.
It's 4 cop jokes.
Running
John,
radar.
people are going to think you got a problem with law enforcement.
I love law enforcement. I have
we
blue
know.
lights
Yeah.
all the way around my house, but I still love to make fun of them.
What-
One of my favorite scenes is when the guy in Super Troopers is sitting behind the sitting behind the sign. He's got his radar gun, radar and strokes.
Yeah, that's a good scene. it was a good scene. 20, 30
Yeah.
over. You know, we stay pretty busy. You know, the calls stack up. You don't have a lot of time to do proactive work, but yeah, 20, 30. I've only written 3 tickets in my 16 years, speeding tickets.
Really?
Yeah, and 2 of
So
them.
you
almost
never
ran
been
me.
on that step program then, huh?
No,
You know what I'm talking about.
no,
The government sponsored program that other people have got jammed up
No.
on.
no. I've never.
So
done-
how do you draw the short end of the straw on that program? Do you volunteer for that or what?
It's an overtime. Yeah, you sign up for. It's an overtime.
Oh, is that what? Well, okay.
Yeah,
Let me go
yeah,
back to
yeah.
that's our first podcast with
that's
Matt.
number one. Yeah.
Yeah. Did you ever get a chance to watch our first podcast? You were here.
I was actually here watching.
Yeah,
in
and
the
so
audience.
Matt was you may guys that may not come out of the same precinct or whatever, but he was a fellow Dallas police officer. Were you you were on the force when all that happened, weren't you?
Sure. Yeah.
So how did that let's circle back to that while we have you here. What was that like on the inside? I mean, is what the news portrayed accurate or?
Yeah, you know, so there was a federal grant, and the government gives departments federal grants to run maybe like traffic on a highway or a DWI grant. But that one was a traffic grant on the highways, I believe. I've never worked it myself, and there's so many different avenues for us to get overtime. So, but yeah, he was, I guess, evidently writing tickets to parked cars, unoccupied parked cars, to my understanding.
Yeah.
That's, big no. You know, Uncle Sam doesn't quite like that.
Yeah.
And
I mean, there were some technical things about it, but
they pulled the grant, and you know, a lot of those guys that were working that overtime that signed up for it, and it cost them a lot of money. You know, when they pulled that away from the department. So
yeah, I can tell you,
we do have it back now, but it took a while.
department lost money because of those
Yes,
those infractions
absolutely.
that were.
is it because they had to exonerate everybody's tickets that he may or may not have? Is that where they lost the money, or how did they lose the money?
Well, you lose they self-reported. Again, to my understanding, they self-reported to the government what happened, and immediately the grant was pulled. So the department loses money that way. They lose money from the ticket revenue, but more importantly, they lose the enforcement action. You know, that enforcement has direct consequences, whether you're getting people to stop speeding on a crazy road or whatever, but then that's gone. So it affected us, and it pissed a lot of people off.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, we had him on the show, and you were here. He's
paid the price
yeah,
for it.
he has. He has. He's having to move on with life the best he can, and never be able to be a police officer again. But
Nope.
I mean, you've got your many irons in the fire here. You're a Dallas police officer, city councilman. You also have a security business too, don't you?
Yes. Yeah, I have an off-duty job that we run.
can you talk about that at all, or?
Yeah, well, companies come to us and they need inside the city of Dallas, they need officers for different gigs, like a 7-Eleven needs officers there to keep away the crime.
Well, but that's a full-time job.
Yeah, stuff like that. Corporate events, churches, schools, crowd control, traffic control. They use officers for all kinds of things like that.
And so you hire off-duty officers to
we're a turnkey operation. So say you have a company and you need officers for an event, or you need officers at one of your locations all the time. You come to us, and we take care of most everything for you. To where all you've got to do is pay the checks, the guys get paid,
Right.
and you don't have to worry about a lot.
Now, do you bill monthly? Because what I really need personally, things have gotten so crazy here with the podcast and everything that I can't even go in public and just sit down and eat without pictures and selfies with the community. I mean,
Shut up, Rob.
okay.
Yeah.
There we go. For a second. There we go. Rewind.
So do you
I
have to?
forgot about the button.
Yeah. Do you have to have some? Do you have to have special certifications
you
or
up.
licenses or something to take care of that, or is it all just kind of since you're a police officer and?
No, they're extra jobs. There's tons of extra jobs in Dallas. And as Dallas officers, we're only allowed to work extra jobs within the city of Dallas, but there's tons of them. You know, on any given night, there's bars, clubs, gas stations.
Yeah, corporations that just
Weddings.
need to keep it clean. And
Yeah,
like you said,
there's
you're
all
working
kinds.
in some pretty.
There's malls, there's grocery stores. A lot of Aldi's have officers, a lot of Kroger's, or Kroger, no S. No S on Kroger's, right?
So when we go
Walmart,
to when we go
Kroger,
to
you're from
small-
Texas. There's an S on everything in there.
So can private individuals hire security from you guys, or?
They can, you know, it depends on what it's for. We have a
Well, Rob and I go to the Stars game a lot, so we need an entourage and, you know, security for that entourage. You know,
I
because it
didn't
gets
say it.
kind of hairy getting in and out of
He
there.
just wants to escort him, think he's big wigged.
yeah,
What about an umbrella guy? I mean,
to hold your umbrella.
yes. How much does it cost to have an umbrella guy?
How much to get?
That might cost extra for
Armed.
the pride.
If I
you know.
supply the umbrella, though.
that's gonna be a lot of money.
Boy.
A lot of money.
So all kidding aside, you know, we know that you do a lot for the community, and we appreciate everything that you do, because, you know, we like to make fun just because you're our buddy, but we really do appreciate everything you
Absolutely.
do for us. And, you know, you go above and beyond daily, and then you have to field all these stupid damn questions from our local community. You know, there's an endless amount of ranting and raving about, you know, how many chicken joints are in town, how few cell towers we have. Oh my gosh, there's a Waffle House coming in town. Couldn't we get a Del Frisco's instead? I mean, what do you see the biggest challenges in the city of Midlothian right now?
Well, you know, one of the challenges that I think we're doing a pretty good job at, you know, not too long ago, about 43% of our tax revenue was coming from the big plants here in town. And that's great. But if one of them fails, look how much that will affect the city. So the city has made a concerted effort over the past 5 or 10 years to try to bring in, you know, other businesses besides just the big plants. And so it'll help support. So if one of those was to go away, we would have the tax infrastructure, so to speak. And now I want to say, I think the 3 big plants in town are only like 23%. So it's been a drastic change, which I think is good. Now, that's not necessarily a problem we have. You know what the biggest problem is right now?
What's that?
We have to keep up. So there's so many people wanting to move here because our city is, you know, we have a great city. There's so many people wanting to move here. The roads, you know, I think we have good roads overall, but you've got to get ahead of that. You know, I mean, even the road out in front of your house, you know, you got to get ahead of that. If you don't build the infrastructure.
Yeah, you know, you speak about South Walnut Grove Road. There's I mean, for one, there's way too much speeding on it. I mean, they run this road at 55, 60, 65, even more mile an hour every day. So that's a problem. I welcome the widening of it. I'm not on board with the median that they're going to put in there, because that's just going to be, because at our house, it's going to be right turn out, right turn in. So, you know, if I'm going towards 287, now I've got to go all the way up the street, find a turnaround, and then I'm going to wait for traffic to slow down so I can make a safe U-turn.
Right.
Then to head back down to 287. You know, right now, so now I got to go up to 1387, either turn around or go all the way to Midlothian Parkway and go that way, which just adds time to my route.
Yeah.
And then with the trailers in and out, that makes it more difficult too, because there's only one way in now, and that's from 287.
Right.
It's not like I can come in from 1387, make a U-turn with a long ass trailer, and then hit my driveway. It just doesn't work that
Now,
way.
legitimate question.
So it is a huge inconvenience.
In regards to the roads, just to kind of expand on what you just said. Now, out where I live, you know, out in Joe Wilson, Shiloh area, that's considered county. Now, the city has nothing to do with that, particularly, even though or do they, within the Midlothian city limits? Does anybody know that?
Well, if it's inside the Midlothian city, but even inside the Midlothian city limits, there's certain roads that are TxDOT, like 663 is a major one, 1387, they're TxDOT. They're not.
So you haven't.
Well, TxDOT would be more than happy to let.
Sorry, guys. Dallas Stars game's fixing to start, so if you see the red light
Okay.
going, it means we scored, and we're all going to take a shot.
Okay.
TxDOT would be more than happy to let you make improvements to those roads, but they're their roads.
Right.
Right.
And I guess the same goes for out of county roads. So the reason I'm asking this, I don't know.
Yeah.
So last week we had Lewis Ponder
Yep.
and Rick Ridgway on the show. As you may know, Rick is running for County Commissioner Precinct 4, and Lewis Ponder is running for Justice of the Peace Precinct 4.
Right.
So they were kind of talking a little bit about, well, specifically Rick, as far as running for commissioner, about the roads and the things that they do, and of course his background. So how does that work with the city and I guess the county commissioners? Do you know Rick, or is Rick somebody?
I do know Rick.
Yeah.
Rick's a good guy. I fully support him in this race. I think if he wins that race, he would do a really good job. But to your question, the county commissioners, one of, if not the biggest job they have are the roads in the county, but they really don't have any connection with the way the city takes care of their roads, and we don't have an influence on the way they take care of their roads. I mean,
Okay, so I got another question. It's kind of road question. When you approve neighborhoods, do they let you know how people are going to come in and out of the neighborhood?
yes. So
Okay, so here it is. We spend millions of dollars on an overpass. Okay,
We're talking Walnut Grove here.
Walnut Grove
287.
overpass. Who is the brainchild that decided to go ahead and let 3,000 house neighborhood exit between Ellis Buildings
Well,
and
yeah, in his
Whataburger?
printing, in his business forms and Whataburger.
Yeah, and Whataburger, because that's going to be a major thoroughfare out of that neighborhood, straight on 287. And guess what we built the overpass for? To avoid
Right.
the congestion and the accidents and the deaths. And what we're doing, we're creating the exact same scenario with this brand new road that's going to be coming out of that neighborhood straight on 287. And they're going to cross over to go to 35.
And we talked to Rick a little bit about that. Of course, he's he's not a commissioner yet. He's actually running for the spot and whatnot. And I wish we had thought about this. We had your colleague Justin Kaufman on, and we failed to ask him. So I won't want to miss this opportunity.
They didn't open it up yet.
Yeah, we didn't.
But
know.
I just now started construction through, and I see they're going to make the road. I'm going, who in the hell was the brainchild behind that idea?
I don't know.
Because really, he needs to be on the show and answer to it. And he also needs to answer to everybody who loses a family member because they get killed at that intersection. And it's happening. I'm telling you right now, there's going to be multiple deaths within the first year of that neighborhood going in.
I remember when I first saw the plans for that road in the neighborhood there, and I wanted the same things. I was like, well, that's not a good spot for all those houses with that road there.
Right there at the base of an overpass. If people are running 90 mile an hour on it, and our MPD needs to be patrolling that heavier.
So I know you guys don't.
20 over, man. 20 over. They just flash lights at you.
So I know you.
Not Midlothian, not unless you're Officer Flowers, then you're riding them over for 2 over.
So I know you guys don't determine how this works. You vote on how somebody in the planning and zoning or whoever it is brings it to you guys, and then you guys logically say this works or this doesn't work. Like Justin said, red, green. As far as a vote, did they have this traffic plan laid out when they were you? It
was before my time, but I will say, it's the last city council meeting or the one before. TxDOT basically asked us, how would y'all feel if we blocked off 5 of the median crossings along 287? And so we looked at each one of them individually.
Every one of them.
Yeah, and that's ultimately what we decided. We decided, it's getting too dangerous. There's too much traffic. They need to be blocked off.
It needs to be right turn only. You turn right, get on the highway, go down the next exit, and make your U-turn. In Michigan, they do the same thing in Michigan.
Yeah, it's going to be like that. I don't know when TxDOT's going to get around to it, but I'm assuming it's sooner rather than later, since they came to us and asked us how we felt about it, even though it's their roadway.
Well, they call that the meat grinder between Midlothian Parkway and Walnut Grove Road. They call that the meat grinder for a reason.
Yeah, it's a dangerous area, for sure.
Yeah.
Well, it'll be interesting to see how that turns out. Surely we're not the only people that think that it's a poor design.
Well, to me, I have my kids they drive this thoroughfare every day, and every morning, like say my daughter leaves and she forgets something at school, and I get that phone call at 6:30 after she leaves, saying, "Dad, I forgot my notebook. Will you bring me to school?" I'm thinking, "Oh my gosh, something happened in the meat grinder." So that every time I get that morning phone call, it scares the crap out of me.
We went and drove it actually, and there's not even a house built yet. And it's tough getting out there as it is, and you better have some horsepower or something to
Twin turbo EcoBoost.
kick it in the ass a little bit.
Good reflexes, yeah.
Yeah.
But so I guess the point is now you take 3,000 homes,
Which is going to be a minimum of 6,000 cars.
and consider 50% of those will come out. Depending on where you're headed. You've got the Walnut Grove exit, or entrance and exit to the neighborhood, but then you've got the backside. Those people that work in Waxahachie or whatnot. So just figure 50% come out of the back. 3,000 homes. Most homes have a couple cars. 6,000 cars. 3,000 are going in and out.
A minimum of 3,000, a maximum of, how many people do you know that only have 2 cars? I mean, most households now with kids and everything, they got 4 or 5 cars.
Could. So, nevertheless, it's going to be something and we ran it. You can't just put a light there. I mean, that literally, if you do that, it's like, why did we build this?
Well, you cannot put a light there, because if there was a light there, then you know how many rear end accidents would happen because of that overpass. You come over to overpass, and all of a sudden there's a car sitting there.
Yeah, you wouldn't do that. I mean, this is the point of having a freeway, right?
Yeah,
287 is a legit freeway.
right, yeah. And it's busy right there too.
Yeah.
Now, I'd be totally on board with them cutting off that center crossover, and then they can just go straight up to Walnut Grove and take that nice little loop around that they built.
Here's what I suggest, John. When you become mayor, okay, the next mayor, we're going to say City Hall, you don't even have to build it, okay? Come to the table, and we're going to figure all this out.
The Apoca Palace.
The Apoca Palace will be City Hall, invitation only. No. That would
Well,
be good, though.
I don't know if running for city council would be but I guarantee, I think I would be a great candidate for a planning and zoning committee to start out there. But,
Just need a mayor to appoint you.
I need
Right?
I need to be in there because I need to bring
Something
some
like
common
that.
sense to all this.
Yeah.
It's gonna turn. But the way we're heading, we're gonna turn into like 77 Wasatchie. It's gonna
Which
be
is a nightmare.
nightmare. I don't even shop there no more because it's such a traffic light.
Yeah,
I'd rather drive to Mansfield.
that's where I go now, Mansfield, honestly.
It seems like all their business, or at least the lion's share of their business, is right there on 77. Mm-hmm. Yeah,
It's such a headache to get.
Luckily, I found some shortcuts in and out of 77, which take a little extra time, but a whole lot less traffic and a lot less road rage.
So I guess moving on, because I could talk this traffic issue all day,
hours.
but moving on, I saw today, Lonnie, did you see, I'm sure it probably piqued your interest, Midlothian Mirror today released an article on Facebook about the Lawson buildings. Now, do you,
I haven't read that one yet.
well, okay, so did you read it, Lonnie?
Plausible deniability.
So,
you hear that?
well, no. My question is, my question is where are they at on that? It said that they had voted to approve the sale. Well, I think that had already happened back in June, July, correct? I mean, and you guys brought in the RFPs and
that was just an agreement to go forward with the negotiation.
with yes.
Yeah.
So is it done? Do we know when they're going to break ground, or are they have they bought it?
No, it's not a done deal. There's a few more things that need to happen, but most of it it's
Yeah.
it's already set in concrete.
Well, yeah, but I mean, I'm just saying it's so as citizens. I mean, because we've had the podcast. Justin's been on here.
Crocker.
Yeah, he's been on
right.
here. So
Forgot about
we're
that.
past that. Now we're looking at this as citizen standpoints. Because we're wanting something new in town. I mean, this was a building that multiple people had great ideas for to bring some excitement to the heart of Midlothian. And, according to the city's master plan that you guys have and what this needed to be, as far as a destination goes, I guess my question is, so have you guys done all your approvals and he can start building? And I guess, maybe that's a question for Justin at some point, but
Yeah,
have you guys given him the go ahead? Can he start building?
I believe he can at this point. I could be wrong about that, but I believe at this point he can. But I think there's still something that is left undecided at this point as far as the second building, the smaller of the two buildings. I think they still have to come before us, or maybe before the P&Z board for zoning for that.
Yeah.
So what about Uptown? How's Uptown going as far as city council standpoint? Are y'all out of the loop now and he's just waiting for all the buildings to be done, or is there still
Founders
more?
Row?
Yeah, Founders Row. I'm sorry.
Founders Row.
I was like, Uptown,
Because
where's
that
that?
thing, Founders Row, I mean, we are really excited about that. And we've had Steven on. And Steven was an amazing guest. We would love to have Steven back on, but it seems like it's moving at a snail's pace. Is any of this the city's part, or is it just the way construction goes right now?
Steven is very methodical. He's very methodical, well thought out. He definitely takes his time in planning, and I don't know all the ins and outs of the timing of what's going on over there, but it sure does. It seems like it's, hey, where are all these businesses? Where's Porch Pour? Where's Wilson's?
Well, Porch Pour looks like it's almost done.
And he said that that's going to be the first one. And I believe he did say first of the year.
And Wilson's is supposed to be
Seafood.
not far behind that, I think.
Well, yeah, they have a lot of work to do.
But
in
then
that
again,
building.
3 years ago, you'd have thought they'd be done with the whole thing by now. But, Steven has his plan.
He still has two more houses to bring in, is what he said last time.
I think so.
Yeah.
So if you guys got I mean, I know that Founders Row is going to be downtown shining star. I mean, it's going to bring a lot of business in traffic from outside the communities here. Is there any plans about these multi-tenant buildings that are around there? Have we had any discussions on that, and how you going to kind of push them out? I mean, you have that small little apartment right across the street that looks like has like 50 families living in each unit. I'm not trying to
That's all
downgrade them, but
That's all free market. The city won't be involved in any of that. It's all free market.
If they want to sell it, I know the owner. I know who owns all those apartments.
Yeah,
and they're not going to sell them. They make money. So,
well, it depends on how much money is offered. And
but we have multiple code violations going on in that place. I guarantee if you send a code inspector in there, they're going to find so many different code violations.
they both got brand new roofs. I know that for a fact. I put them on. So.
Well, you need to recuse yourself from this conversation then, but I'm just saying there are standards and ordinances and how many people can live in each unit, and I guarantee they're being exceeded.
I don't think so.
You don't?
No, and I'll tell you why.
I bet you $100 bill they are.
I'll tell you why. Is because, again, and I also know, not only do I
talking
know,
about the houses in that.
No, we're talking about the apartment complexes behind Teotoni, area. Okay.
All right.
So
you know what we're talking about.
The older apartments, not the newer ones.
The old,
not the tall ones.
The older ones.
old ones.
So these apartments, they are under some sort of Texas housing authority called rural housing. Okay. Which means, I want to say 13 to 16% of the units are assisted by
affordable housing or something like that.
Some rural housing, not HUD. It's its own entity called rural housing. Now, because they do that, they have some of the most strict guidelines that they have to adhere to when it comes to, how many people. And well, first of all, the state of Texas states, number one, that no more than 2 people can live in one bedroom. Okay, so
sit over there at lunchtime.
I get it, but
I don't frequent over there.
All you got to do is go to Sonic and sit there and eat your burger.
But they would lose their ability to retain that. For that rural housing label, which allows, from an owner standpoint, Lonnie, you own things. So if you owned a multifamily apartment and you could be guaranteed rents by the government, and they're never late, would you would have to follow your guidelines to a T, because because what you're not doing,
You don't want to lose it.
you're not chasing rent.
Well, you're not chasing rent, but nobody's out there enforcing the laws and rules. That's
I
the problem.
disagree with everybody about this place. This is a slumlord,
No, it's Section 8.
bad situation.
It's Section 811 is what it is.
But it's not
horrible.
Section 8 though.
But it's rural living.
should be.
It's the same thing.
It's
They're
a
getting
Section 8
subsidized.
twin. Okay,
It is
yeah,
an
yeah.
eyesore.
Yeah, it's getting subsidized, but I mean, I had the opportunity on several of the rent homes we own that to do rural living to get something. And it's it's not worth a hassle.
I guess that may go back to the old principle: you respect something you're paying for a little more.
Yeah,
Therefore,
you're actually paying for it. You're working to make a living to pay your bills.
whether you're renting or buying, it doesn't matter. If I'm renting a house and it's my money that's paying for it, I choose to live it a certain way. Then
Nothing says class like walking out of a dinner and looking at that building. It's horrible. Sorry, guys. Maybe not be a popular comment, but you know what? We designed this podcast to speak our minds.
And I
that
tell you
place
what,
needs
though,
to be bulldozed.
hey, but I will tell you one thing: go try to rent an apartment there. You're on a year waiting list.
Right. Well, I mean, the people that are trying to get there are.
Nothing says awesome like a window
Complain.
unit, one window unit in the broken door.
Well, I mean, but it was designed for people that needed it. There's too many people abusing it, not that need it. The program is a great deal. The program is there for a reason.
Yeah.
For people that need the program. The problem is they're not governing the people that are using the program. So, I mean, that's your problem. I mean, you walk into some of these places like that, I mean, you're full of, I mean, the parking lot's full of high, $60,000, $80,000 cars. You're abusing the program. If you're somebody who's paying your rent, you should have a nicer car than I do. I mean,
Yeah.
I work for a living.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean that's why I don't know. I think that it's ran decently. I mean, that's just
You don't spend enough time downtown, Rob.
well. The thing about it is that
on the other side of the tracks.
I'm speaking, but I'm speaking on this from the standpoint of I've done work to those buildings. I know who the maintenance man is. As a matter of fact, the maintenance man there is a former employee of yours, Dustin.
Oh.
A former employee of yours, and that's his job, is to keep it. So I guess if it's an eyesore to the surrounding areas, then it needs to clean up better. But I don't know. I mean, the only way you're going to get rid of those, John, is if Heidelball comes in and buys them, which
Buys them up.
he damn sure could.
Yeah, I mean,
So
he owns quite a bit of real estate. I'm sure he wouldn't mind a little bit more.
yeah.
Well,
But then what do you do with it? You turn that into your parking that's been such the fiasco. Don't think you're leaving here without the parking question, Councilman Hartson.
What's the parking question?
What's the solution? Where is it at?
Where, downtown?
Downtown.
I think Justin touched on a little bit of it last week when he talked about the piece of property we recently bought, where if you've lived here long enough, it's the piece of property where the old post office is. If you're newer in town, it's
right next to Rally Sports.
just, on the north side of the street by the Rally, on the north side of the street from the Lawson
Rally
building.
House, yeah.
Yeah, there's a patch of green grass
Back
there
behind
with
the
one
old
building.
DTs and the old fire station.
But you know what?
That's going to be designated for parking, but that's not the only parking we have planned.
Yeah.
But see, and Justin, what he was talking about also was when you demo City Hall after the new City Hall's built.
It's going to.
He's got great ideas. He really does. As far as the turf out there, just the grand entrance that doubles as a stage. Love it. But
Well, sorry to interrupt, but talking about that, I would love to see us as a city council come together and talk about the idea of having a zone downtown around those businesses where people can actually have a beer outside of the four walls of that business.
Oh, absolutely.
You know, I think Burleson, I think, has done that.
Burleson does.
And
And he brought that up.
Sounds like you've heard this before.
yeah, and I've heard it's really worked down there. You know, I think the people of Midlothian would love that idea.
I don't know. Like,
Well, I mean, you have that where you can't have a beer outside, but yet we can have a wine walk and we can serve beer on the street. So what's the difference?
We could have a city ordinance that would.
Well,
it could be a
but-
designated area.
but somebody needs to bring that forth, and that's if I'm not mistaken, you've been approached
I've been approached to bring
as
that
a business
forward.
owner.
Yeah. You know, but we got to figure out what the councils of what are we going to allow? What's going to be the area?
yeah, there's
Because I mean,
there's a lot of fine details. You
Yeah,
gotta-
there's a lot of restrictions
yeah.
you need to impose too. Like, you
But
know,
to get something-
because you give someone boundaries, they're always going to try to push it.
I mean, because downtown has a lot of great features. I mean, you know, the city has put out, you know, the wine walks, the festivals, and I mean, and which
Concerts.
the concerts. I mean, which to a downtown business owner is great.
No, they're
Brings
great
people
events,
there,
yes.
had good times.
And you can open
You know,
you can buy a drink at Brandon Burger
Right,
and
and walk
down
around, have a good time. Yeah, walk around. I mean,
Yeah.
we kind of got burned on that one festival that they had though.
Yeah, we talked about that the wine walk with the permitting, but to be able to do that on a Friday night after 5 o'clock or
Right.
whatever, maybe it's all week. I don't know.
I mean,
You know,
and that would be cool if we had the subsidized parking. Shut down Main Street. Not Main Street. Shut down 8th Street. Shut us down. Let's walk around and set things up. Give nighttime entertainment. Give something out there for people
Vendors
to do.
and-
Give after
Yeah.
hours, but we got to have parking for the businesses.
I know Lobo has spoken to me quite a bit about, you know, shutting down the downtown area, and he has a lot of great ideas, you know.
And I agree with some of those ideas too.
But
And he was talking about having concerts down there way before a lot of people were even mentioning it, and I think that would really work. And I think a lot of people, you know, in this town, that they like that sort of entertainment.
It would be packed every time you had one.
And anytime you can have hometown entertainment, keep the tax dollars home, that's a win-win for everybody. The business owners like Lonnie, you know.
well, I mean, and it's a win-win. I mean, even at the concert, just for who was that? Who was the
Freak?
The Freak.
Yeah, freak. Yeah,
There was nowhere to park.
right.
I mean,
Yeah, they're a
there was
big draw.
there was nowhere to park. It was a
And
huge draw.
Our
We had nowhere to
downtown,
park.
our downtown area is so unique. I mean,
It has good bones.
9th Street doesn't have to be open. There's enough ways around that small little area that you could permanently close that and have that as an outdoor venue, and it would work for everybody.
9th Street?
7th, 8th.
How in the hell is that? I mean, come on now. You can. There's several different ways around that one street.
Now,
Yeah, but
hear me out on this.
you're just funneling cars down other smaller roads.
So we can all agree that these things that we have in our city are great, because you know what they do? They bring everybody together. Even your downtown business owners trick or treating. I don't know if you were out there, but this year was double
I was on
last year.
Cliff. Trust me.
Double last year.
it was
the
huge.
line to just trick or treat around our downtown business area was incredible.
It didn't stop.
That's
it
good to
went,
hear.
It from my front door, starting at Brandon Burger, it went all around nonstop, no breaks.
There were a lot of neighborhoods this year that were
Oh, yeah.
normally just inundated with trick or treaters that were ghost towns.
So now Justin did say when he was here that the plan is if they build a new city hall downtown, they're gonna demo that one building and make all that parking.
well, no, they're going to demo
The old fire station.
The old,
Okay.
Yeah,
Yes.
but
And you're going to take City Hall away about a quarter, according to Justin. He in his, you know, the brain,
Yeah,
his
yeah.
in his
His
mind,
vision or
his vision. I know all you guys have a vision. Of course, like his vision, he was talking about may be different from the master plan. He likes it the front facing where the house is in that grassy area.
I wholeheartedly agree with
So
that.
you turf about a quarter of it, and you put an outdoor area, and then he said, you know, a good part of it would become, you know, parking.
A lot of it would be parking.
And I just don't know that this is the way we're growing. It's enough. I just
Well, anytime we get a chance to grab parking, we need to seize on that as a city.
yeah.
You know, it only benefits all the businesses downtown.
Right.
You know, you start putting in things where parking should be, and it's going to catch up to you sooner.
we're there already. I mean,
I agree.
We're there. I mean,
I agree.
I have a great spot.
I've circled the block
corner of
many
8th
a
and Main,
times.
circle, but I mean, even to go to my own restaurant, I have
Right.
to circle the block and circle the block. And then finally, I just park at the end and walk.
Right. Yeah, I've parked
know.
at City Hall and walked
Yeah,
there
you have.
many times.
I've parked in DT's parking lot, the old DT's, and walked to Brander Burger or Campazano's.
Yeah. What I'm curious. Speaking of vision, so like, what's one thing maybe y'all see that we should be doing, or that we are doing right now, as far as the city, as far as to make the city better? You know, what should we be doing? What are we
We
doing?
presented that in front of the city already, but
We were there.
Several ideas.
We were there with some great ideas, but I think you need new blood in the town. You can't keep sticking the same people over every project. You're going to end up with the same thing throughout the whole town. And I think as a city, we failed ourselves. We had lots of new blood in that place, and we looked past it without saying, hey, we want to do this, but let's talk and let's make it make sense for both of us. I think we need new blood. If you keep the same blood running the town, you're going to have the same town.
Yeah, I love the ideas that Steven has as far as where he would like to see the downtown area go.
Well, evidently, I need to go back and watch that episode again because I watched it the
and
first
I think
time.
you had some one-on-one conversations with him. The dude is spot on when it comes to his vision.
We just got to get him to hurry up with
his
his
eclectic
plans.
tastes, in my opinion.
Maybe shift to second gear or something.
you know, let's give him a little bit of slack. He's designed this whole Founders Row thing. Well, no,
it's
you know,
great
he's
vision.
been,
It's
like
great-
he says,
great
he's
vision.
been working on it for. It's taken him
Long time.
14 years. He said to
Wow.
purchase. I mean, what he needed to purchase to make this happen. So it didn't happen overnight. But now, once purchased, he's had to bring all this together during a global pandemic, which it hasn't been easy in construction, and I can tell you that for a fact. I mean, the price of a sheet of OSB from $7 to $68. Economics are a real thing.
Right.
And costs are a real thing. I mean, it's hard to do this during a pandemic when you did your budget based on, pre-pandemic pricing for, let's just use simple numbers, $5 million, and to get it done, it's going to cost you 10. Well,
But it's not going to get any cheaper, I don't think.
it's getting better.
It's
You
getting
think?
it's leveling out.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's-
I'm also in the construction industry. as
Lumber
well.
has gone down?
Yes.
It's leveling. I mean, I do electrical work, and it's leveling back out. But right now, your main issues is trying to get parts. I mean, it's just getting the components. But it's
What do you see, John? What is the city doing right as far as a vision, carrying out that vision, or what do you see?
I think,
And this is where HUD took over our show.
well, I don't agree. I don't really agree with all the new developments going in, just because I still want to keep this a small town. I don't want to turn into Frisco.
Yeah,
I
I
want
don't
to turn into Prosper. But I do agree. I do agree that growth is what we need. I mean,
If you're not growing, you're dying.
right. And I do like some of the stuff that's happening. There's a lot of stuff I don't like happening. I do think there needs to be some old city council members. They need to go. We need some fresh blood in. But I think we need fresh local blood, in my opinion. Some people that have the old town values still at heart, but would like to see it grow in the right direction.
Or at least somebody that's invested. I want
someone
to-
who's
I want
invested in
to
the
say that.
community, yes,
You don't have
who's
to
grown
live
up
here
here.
for 20 years,
That
but if
wants to
you've got
stay here
your
long term.
money,
Yeah.
and I'm not trying to get you to run for anything. I'm just saying someone like yourself or would be
it's
acceptable in
people
my.
that's investing in the town, ready to invest.
I don't want to be pushed out of where I'm at, but the way I see things going, I think they may push us out of here. Just because there's a lot of stuff happening that to me is not in our best interest. So if it was my decision, I'd like to have some kind of role that I can help push it in the right direction. I don't think some of our leaders are listening to the people, what they want. I think there's a lot of outside influences involved. But I love Midlothian. That's the reason why I'm back. I've been here since I was 12 years old. I left for a bit, but I came back. So this town is home.
Happens to a lot of people who grew up here. Move away,
So-
come back.
it's kind of a double-edged sword there. But you know, I do think there needs to be some new blood. Some of the old school guys on the council need to go.
Okay, fair enough.
Well, I just there's people that have great ideas, and I was talking to Lonnie about this before the show, in light of the the article that came out today about the Lawson building, and I just think no matter who does it, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter, but it's got to be something that adds entertainment. I mean, I think that was the purpose in the entire plan of the Lawson building.
Sure. Yeah, it needs a while.
To create,
Do you hear that outside?
Yeah,
That's what I'm
traffic.
talking about as far as speeding up and down the
but
road.
to create something,
Sorry, Rob.
to create something to do, multiple things to do. I mean, we'll see how it goes. I mean, Justin's a smart guy, and he's.
The
We'll,
city's got to make big changes to make everything work the way that they're looking.
And the whole key is keeping the tax dollars in our city. Making this so people don't have the urge to go to Mansfield, Waxahachie to fill what they can't fulfill here.
And we obviously have a void here in Midlothian. I think everyone would agree. You'd have to be a blind man not to see that we have a void in things to do for kids. Teenage kids, there's a void in Midlothian of things to do, and trust me, the city council recognizes that. We had an opportunity that was going to come before us recently that fell through of no fault of the cities. It was on their end that would have brought in some definitely entertainment for teenagers and kids.
Well, here's the deal: when kids get bored, they turn to stuff that is destructive.
Sure.
And
then again-
unfortunately, it's sex and drugs and stuff like that. You're not going to stop that, but give them an alternative, something to do rather than being at home and bored.
Yeah, but
Because right now there's really not a lot to do in Midlothian. There's nothing to do in Midlothian. They can go to Chili's or they can go to a couple
Well, they got the
restaurants.
skate park, and that's about it.
But that is such a small little.
Yeah, but that's.
But I'll play devil's advocate with you. What'd you say earlier? Y'all moved here, you lived here, you loved it, you moved away, and you came back because you loved it. Despite it not having those things, you still came back. Despite us not having those things, we're flooded with new residents every year here. So do we really need them?
Yes.
But where do they take their entertainment dollars?
But
I agree with that.
We
I
came
agree
back.
with that.
We came back, right? And like I said, not came back. He came back. I moved here as an adult, not as a kid.
All right.
I moved here because it's slower. My kids don't hang out in Midlothian. Not well, mine are grown now, but there's nothing to do here. They go somewhere else. My daughter is in college. She comes to town. She goes to a restaurant. She goes to Waxahachie. There's stuff to do over there. Goes to movies.
Right.
I mean, you have young ones. Where are your kids at on the weekends? If they're not working.
yeah. They live just they nothing. I mean,
They go out of town. They leave town to go.
Boredom causes problems.
Yeah.
And we saw that when we were
Well,
kids.
I mean, so-
we used to go out of town and raise hell out of town. We go to Waxahachie, Cooper Street, and DeSoto. Those were our three hot spots for cruising.
True story.
And anywhere we went, there was always some kind of problem. But the best times we had were downtown in the blacktop.
but now that I think about that, Lonnie,
I stayed away from there.
This
That's why
summer.
I'm a cop now.
right.
this summer when my kids chose to get jobs this summer, but when they weren't working, now that I think about that, to answer your question, what did I buy my kids this summer for entertainment? Urban Air passes to where they could go.
Six Flags.
And Six Flags. That's what I did with my kids. So in their free time, they were either in Mansfield or in Waxahachie. At either one of those two urban airs. Not that we need an urban air, but there's so many other cool things that can be done in this city. And I know that you guys don't recruit per se businesses Justin's made the comment,
not smaller businesses, no.
Yeah, Justin's made the comment, do you want to da here? Well, bring it in front of us. Of course we did, but shameless. But it takes somebody that wants to start a business to do that,
Right.
to get approved. And
One of my kids' favorite places to go right now is Western Country Club out there on 287.
Yeah, sure.
If we had a venue like that in town, that would be bank. It really would.
Lonnie, come on, help us out.
Well, we're looking at it. We're talking.
Okay. All right.
I mean,
Don't give away too many secrets now.
well, I mean, you
But
gotta-
it's saying, that's actually in Grand Prairie. So
Yeah.
those
Yeah.
tax dollars, guess where they're going? Even though they don't sell alcohol and everything.
is that going to Grand? Is that Grand Prairie?
That is Grand Prairie.
So it's
I wonder how many of these people that have moved here in the last 5 to 10 years even realize that that's there.
But you got to be careful because Grand Prairie PD sits right there writing tickets on 287. So
notice that sometimes.
right when you
That's
think you're
almost like
safe.
coaching, isn't it? They
Yeah, they do.
Right
they have
there.
100 foot
Yeah, they have
stretch
100.
of
Yeah, 100 foot.
pavement
How do you
there.
radar that? Yeah, how does that work?
Oh, they do. We've been nailed several times.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think as a whole, you guys are doing a great job.
I think we try. I think we have a pretty good city council and a pretty good school board. We're always going to have flaws. We're always going to have missteps. But at the end of the day, you're only accountable for yourself. And I'm one of 7. I can't defend
Correct.
the other ones. I'm here to be my own council member and to be my own, make my own decisions.
And this is an invitation to any other council members. If they'd like to be on the show and sit in the hot seat, we'd love to have you.
Yeah, well, I mean, Clark's coming on. Just so everybody know, I've already reached out to Clark. He'll be on. And the thing about me is and John as well. But personally, I've had the privilege of out of the 7 of you guys, I've met and know and communicate with 5 of you. One of them I've never met, and one I introduce myself to every time I meet them.
Matter of fact, I believe we met at the Midlothian Conference Center when I was campaigning, and you were helping another candidate with their campaign. I believe we met up there for the first
Yeah,
time.
I met you the first time when John and I were helping Taya.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, of course, I've known John forever, but yeah.
Well, no, that's when I met
It's
you
probably because
with
of John that
Yeah.
there's something. Yeah.
Well, we met online.
I was campaigning for so long, I don't know.
Yeah,
Some of it kind of blurs together.
The first of your 13
Take you
campaigns.
forever to get in office.
I met you. I actually met you at the tail end of your first campaign, which
yeah.
would have been the special election.
It was online. It was on Facebook.
Yeah, I met you on Facebook, and then in person at the conference center.
That's right.
And then we've been friends ever since. Actually, I got 14 of your signs in the backyard still.
Oh my gosh.
Guess who was the chief sign taker downer for Hud Hartson campaign?
Well, it was Rob, wasn't it?
No, it was him. Well, your opponent at the time demanded all your signs be taken down by 3:00, so we had to.
Dude, I took down 90% of your signs, and they sit right there next to my tree.
I think I actually left him up for another couple of days just because someone was telling me what to do.
So when you won this last election, were you like,
That.
damn, I don't have to do this for 3 years?
I was quite relieved. I mean, I'm going to be honest about that one. You campaigned for,
I know I said 6 times, but legitimately, a special election
was the first
a runoff,
yeah,
and then
and then a regular election.
Yes.
Yeah, within 9 months. Yeah, it was taxing.
Didn't you win each one?
no,
Yeah.
oh yeah,
Yeah, he did.
and then the last one, I think there were also multiple candidates. It wasn't just the 2 of
It
you.
was me plus 4 the first election.
Correct, and then you plus 2.
Yes.
Well, you,
Yeah.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
and
Yeah,
two.
the second
two.
election, it was me, and then there was 2 other candidates, and
and then you and another candidate in the
the same
runoff.
candidates was in the first election.
Yeah, yeah. But I can only imagine you're like, well, okay, now I'm here. 3 years, I don't have to run again, and
That's right. It was kind of relief, you run against the same candidates the second time, so that, familiar ground there,
right.
you run against them the first time, but
It's kind of like having that little Chihuahua puppy at your heels the whole time too.
No, after you went through all that,
Definitely had to.
can be.
after
yeah.
you went through
Step right.
the special election, and then here we go. Since there was 5 candidates, now we've got a runoff.
Yeah.
Now I've got you won that, and then you had to turn around.
Well-
what 3-4 months later?
Yeah, and the second time
do
I
it
ran-
and do it again. And there was also and there was more than there was the three of you.
Well, one of the candidates, the second time I ran, he pretty much admitted that he was only running to try to force a runoff. He wasn't really putting effort
Watch it.
into it, but he, what's going on?
I just had to.
Shut up, Rob.
I'll get deep.
Well, we are at an hour and 4 minutes, guys, and we could keep going. We really could.
Well, we'll have you back.
I appreciate y'all
Yes.
having me on. I appreciate you having me on.
So with that being said, this is a holiday season. There's a lot of stuff going on. We wish everybody, a great holiday season, and be safe and stay healthy.
Stay healthy. Next week we'll have
see you next week.
Next
And
week,
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Next week,
Yes, sir.
tune in next week. One of your colleagues up there on the board, Clark Whitcliffe, will be here, and we'll talk to him. And
And if you're off and you want to sit
You're always welcome. Everybody's always
you're more than welcome.
You never know.
Yep.
I tell you, we can get more done here than we can at City Hall.
We can.
Midlothian, we love you.
Peace out, guys.
Good night.